Okay, Venezuelan gangs taking over Colorado apartment complexes. Better hold on to your AR-15s, AK-47s, your semi-auto weapons. This is why they want to take weapons away from you. They want you unarmed so you can get yourself killed.
In Aurora, Colorado are calling a recent violent incident associated with a Venezuelan street gang a, quote, isolated incident, but it's raising fears once again of a surge in crimes committed by migrants hundreds of miles away from the border, as national correspondent Christine Forzao reports. It's a scene that seems to be out of a developing nation where corruption and violence run rampant. But this surveillance video is from an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado. To your knowledge, what are the men in this video doing?
They are going through the complex, like I'm told that they are, heavily armed. They patrol the complex. They control who comes in, who goes out. Colorado
has strict gun laws. Shows you gun laws are useless. Gun laws are unconstitutional as well, but
they go from door to door. They have forced their way into many complexes. They have thrown people out.
Aurora City Councilwoman Danielle Jurinsky blames neighboring Denver for its sanctuary policy, which provides services to undocumented migrants, the vast majority not connected to crimes and there to find work. Those seen in this video, though, believed to be associated with the violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, designated by the U.S. Treasury Department as a transnational criminal organization, closely watched by the FBI.
We're certainly tracking that particular gang, TDA, as we would refer to it, whether it's their, drug trafficking, extortion, kidnapping for ransom, different kinds of violent crime.
4 Venezuelan migrants associated with the same gang were just indicted for this jewelry store heist in Denver. 2 others believed to be involved in the attack of New York City police officers in Times Square in January. And the suspect in the murder of Laken Riley has connections as well. Venezuela and some other countries have no diplomatic relationship with the United States, which means information about migrants' backgrounds would not be shared.
We have no ability to verify their criminal background or whether they belong to a Venezuelan gang, but yet we're still releasing in the United States.
Former President Donald Trump says if he wins the election in November, he'll implement a mass deportation policy. Vice President Kamala Harris.
Donald Trump will obey his Zionist masters, man. Is Donald Trump man enough to tell Netanyahu to go to hell? Because he's Israel first. And Benjamin Netanyahu definitely does not give a rat's ass about this country.
While Harris has indicated a shift on border policy with support for a more restrictive approach. In Washington, I'm Christine Forzao.
We know that bitch Kamala
Tonight, police
obviously wants more of them coming in here. Alright, but there was an old law called the California Proposition 187 law. That law prevented non-citizens from receiving welfare. I mean, if you're not a citizen of the United States, you shouldn't be getting welfare at the expense of the U.S. taxpayer. I mean, half our U.S. taxpayers barely make $30,000 a year. I mean, that's just not fair, man. That's just not fair. This country is $35 trillion in debt. America's modern Babylon. It's going down the shitter. California Proposition 1994, California Proposition 187 law. California Proposition 187 was a 1994 ballot initiative to establish a state-run citizenship screening system and prohibit illegal immigrants from using non-emergency health care, public education, and other services in the state of California. We need that for all 50 states, though. And I don't hear these dopey Republicans even talk about creating a law. Like the law passed on November 8th, 1994. It was found unconstitutional by a federal district court on November 11th, in 1999. Of course, Zog doesn't like that law. Blame the law on racism. So, the Republicans are weak, man. They're more interested in Israel. But just look up this old law right here. It's even on Wikipedia. That would have been the solution to the problem. There's an old California Proposition 187 news video. I'm going to look for that, and I'm going to include that into this video.
Back to politics now, and another big sign of voter discontent this year, a record number of individual issues placed directly on the ballot. One of the most controversial, California's immigration initiative, Proposition 187. More now from NBC's George Lewis.
The initiative, which would deny schooling and other social services to illegal immigrants, sparked student protests again today in Los Angeles and in San Francisco, where marchers converged on City Hall. Police agencies in Southern California have gone on tactical alert in case the demonstrations, which have been peaceful so far, turn violent.
Over the last 10 days, we've had literally hundreds of protests. There is great sensitivity.
Proposition 187 has polarized voters in this state who are either strongly for the measure or strongly against it.
We should be penalizing the employers, and this is where the problem is, I feel. I don't feel the kids are the problem.
Foreigners, they go down and they can get all the services they want. You go down there and ask for services and you can't.
It has become the issue in the governor's race. Pete Wilson, a 187 supporter, is pinning his re-election hopes on anti-immigrant sentiment.
We are going to take back California for the working, tax-paying families of this state.
But the opponents of Proposition 187 have been very active in recent days, trying to turn out the no vote. According to pollsters, the measure, which enjoyed a 2-to-1 lead at one point, is now almost dead even in some polls. A heavy voter turnout is thought to be good for the opponents of 187, but because of bad weather in Southern California, turnout has been on the light side so far. If the initiative passes, the opponents say not only will there be more demonstrations, they'll try to block the measure in the courts. George Lewis, NBC News, Los Angeles.
In California tonight, the popular will of the people and the determination of the governor on hold. A federal court judge has ruled not so fast with Proposition 187, the referendum that eliminates all but emergency services to illegal immigrants in that state. Everyone always said this would be settled in the courts, and tonight, round one. Here's NBC's George Lewis.
In a Los Angeles federal courtroom, civil rights lawyers and the state of California clashed over whether Proposition 187 is constitutional. The measure, passed by 59% of the state's voters, would deny educational and health benefits to illegal immigrants and force the providers of those services to report the names of those immigrants to federal authorities. Today in court, lawyers for civil rights groups argued that Proposition 187 was an unconstitutional measure which would be especially hard on children and people who are sick. Federal Judge Matthew Byrne issued a restraining order which will prevent California from enforcing parts of the proposition. The day after the election, that's something that California Governor Pete Wilson said he intended to do.
Today I am going to take the necessary steps to make possible enforcement of Proposition 187, issuing an executive order that directs state agencies to draft emergency regulations to enforce the law.
Shortly after that, school boards, city councils, and civil rights groups moved to block enforcement of 187.
My district voted 56% no on 187. I'm representing my district.
Now, a citizens group is seeking to recall public officials who oppose Proposition 187. Backers of the recall move say their phones are ringing off the hook.
The voice of citizens together.
Proposition 187 was necessary because the American people have been betrayed by their elected officials. At every level, from the president on down to the school board.
Both sides in this battle believe that Proposition 187 will wind up in the Supreme Court. Other border states, considering their own anti-immigration laws, are eyeing California closely. George Lewis, NBC News, Los Angeles.
We are now living in a time when foreign gangs can cross over our border
and seize people's property at gunpoint with no fear of the law.
This video has been making the rounds online since yesterday. Shows armed men walking through a building, knocking on doors, then entering an apartment. These men are part of a dangerous Venezuelan gang, and their numbers have been growing steadily because of the crisis at the border.
There have been rumblings of new gang activity in Aurora all summer. Officials have skated around the topic, but now there's video and victims they can't deny.
It's really like being held hostage.
Cindy was a prisoner in her own home. She's lived in this building at 12th and Dallas for years. This summer, when crime got worse, Cindy got cameras. Doorbell video shows a group of armed men forcing their way into her neighbor's home. Another night, her camera outside captured two men approaching a vehicle, guns drawn.
What I am told is that police leadership put it out that no less than like 3 or 4 officers could respond to one of these complexes. I now have other property owners, other apartment complexes calling and telling me the same kinds of things.
Food is the biggest commodity over there.
Cindy says she survived the ordeal by staying quiet, giving them food and bed bug spray. Every night, praying she'd hear sirens.
They left us there to die.
In her new home, far away, the peace she feels is fleeting. Because for so many others, she says there is no escape, no solution, and no sign that help will ever come.
The people working to defund the police are the same people bringing in millions of foreigners without any expectation to assimilate. These foreigners are being given money, education, and homes, while tax-paying American citizens are being kicked out of their homes and losing their jobs. Property taxes generate approximately 75% of a city's funding. And as the job market, home sales, commercial real estate, and the entire U.S. economy continues to plummet, the average American citizen will no longer be able to pay the city's taxes, and city governments will become desperate. Right on cue, the federal government announces it will be giving out hundreds of millions of dollars to cities willing to take more migrants. This isn't new. The Department of Homeland Security, who is supposedly tasked with securing the homeland, has already given out $1 billion to city governments in return for taking more migrants. And there will be billions more given out. This incentivized plan of self-destruction is scheduled to last another 2 years. The Venezuelan gang violence in Aurora, Colorado, is already spilling out to the surrounding suburbs. And Aurora is just one of many. There are hundreds of sanctuary cities, counties, and states, all of which are losing money. And the funds being given out by Homeland Security will not cut it. They will only increase the amount of mouths to feed. As it turns out, the cost of feeding and housing tens of millions of people is unsustainable. And as the money starts to run out, things will get much more dangerous. John Williams predicts we will be seeing more demand for gated communities and private security companies.
A lot of these, new residents are coming from a harder world. They're coming from the El Salvadors of the world, the Venezuelas of the world. These countries where they know a lot of hardship, and they've come here for a better life, and they're going to do what they have to do to achieve that better life. And as we walk into the winter, it's going to be real cold in San Francisco, in Denver, New York City, and if they don't have shelter, they're going to take it, most likely. I mean, if the food cuts off, if the shelter, becomes harder to come by, if all of these, perks and things they were promised go away, it's going to be a free-for-all.
Last year, 139 mayors officially told Congress they need more money to provide food, housing, and other services to their growing migrant community. They wrote that both city government agencies and local nonprofits are overwhelmed and cannot provide the most basic assistance.
Where do you see all of this going? Do you think that this video right here is the end? Or do you think that this situation is very well the beginning? It's only 3 months until winter. These cities, they're going to get really cold.
Reporting for InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.
Alright, here's a guy who claims he saw what happened in Colorado.
Alright, forgive me. I'm pulling in right now. I'm just so upset about this whole thing right now. So, yes, it's true. If you've been seeing about the stuff in Aurora, Colorado, about the Venezuelan gangs taking over two apartment complexes, yes, it's very true. I happened to drive to Aurora today for business. Not even fucking, what time is it? Yeah, not even 3 hours ago I was in Aurora. Alright? And I was right near where that shit happening. Let me tell you, man, holy shit. Let me tell you right now that this shit's no fucking joke. Alright, these motherfuckers is really out here with fucking AKs, fucking guarding an apartment complex that does not belong to them. Okay? This is the Venezuelan gangs that came up here. I can't remember what the fuck their name is, but yeah, that's real. Like, the shit's getting dire. Alright? I'm out here right now. Not Aurora, Colorado. I'm in Lakewood, Colorado, bro. Alright? I'm on the opposite side of the metro area, man. But I go all the way over there for my videography. I go over there for recording shit. I go over there for all types of shit. I'm sorry, forgive me. I'm just heated about this. It's just really bad that, like, people really don't think this is happening, bro. This Venezuelan prison gang took over 2 apartment complexes in my fucking state, man. And, like, yes, it's real. It's getting real. That's why I stay with what I got. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't have something like that and this shit happening, you gotta beware. That's all I'm saying. People see what you have. People see what you have when you don't look, man, and be prepared for that shit to get taken. I mean, that might be fear-mongering, or whatever the fuck Kamala Harris want to say, but that's fear-mongering. No, it's fucking not. This is reality right here. This is like 10 toes down in the state. So if you're wondering what's happening with Colorado, that's what's happening, all right? This ain't no fear-mongering. There are people being charged rent out in this apartment complex, bro. They called the FBI. They said they could do nothing about it. They called the state, Colorado PD, all of them, dude. No, they can't do nothing about it. Oh, and they also called the marshals, from what I hear. Nothing they can do about it, apparently. Nothing you can do about immigrants taking over an apartment complex by force? What? Make it make sense. Make it make sense.